Rejected alien maid assists human billionaire. What he does next leaves everyone speechless. The artificial lights of Nexus Station cast harsh shadows across Gate 37, where Tiana sat alone on a cold metal bench. Her vibrant blue skin, normally radiant, seemed dulled by despair as she fought back tears. The delicate white lace headband in her thick azure hair, the last remnant of her former position, felt like a mockery now. "You're a thief! Get out and never come back!" The accusation still rang in her ears, sharp and unfair. She hadn't taken that ridiculous crystal figurine. Why would she risk everything for a trinket when her mother's medication and daughter's education hung in the balance? Tiana smoothed her short, black uniform dress with its white collar and cuffs, the outfit that had, until 3 hours ago, been her livelihood. Her dark, semi-transparent stockings did little to ward off the station's chill, and her high heels, once a point of pride, now pinched with every anxious shift of her long legs. She pulled out her comm device, staring at the balance. 47 credits. Not even enough for a shuttle back to the Outer Rim colony where her 5-year-old daughter Mira and ailing mother waited. The next payment for her mother's treatment was due in 2 weeks. Without it, Tina shook her head, refusing to complete the thought. The station's announcement system blared overhead. "Shuttle arriving from Terran Central, Gate 37, please stand clear." She barely registered the passengers disembarking until a water bottle rolled across the polished floor, stopping at her feet. Tiana looked up to see a distinguished human man struggling with wooden crutches, his right leg encased in a medical cast up to his knee. Without hesitation, she retrieved the bottle and approached him. "Your water, sir." "Thank you, miss." His voice was deep with the refined accent of Earth's upper class. Gray eyes, sharp and intelligent, studied her from beneath silver-gray hair that was immaculately styled. His dark 3-piece suit and long overcoat spoke of wealth that Tiana could scarcely imagine. "Thomas Blackwell," he introduced himself with a slight nod, unable to extend a hand while balancing on his crutches. "Tiana Navarro," she replied, noticing how he didn't flinch at her alien features like many humans did. "You seem troubled, Miss Navarro. Forgive my presumption, but is everything all right?" His question was direct but not unkind. Perhaps it was desperation, or maybe the genuine concern in his eyes. But Tiana found herself telling this stranger everything. The false accusation, her termination, her family's precarious situation. "So now I'm stranded here," she concluded, embarrassed by her outburst. "I apologize for burdening you with my problems." Thomas Blackwell regarded her thoughtfully. "No apology necessary. Actually, I find myself in need of household staff at my estate on New Geneva. My previous housekeeper retired last month, and this blasted leg makes managing alone rather difficult." He gestured to his cast. "Would you consider the position?" "Room, board, and a competitive salary, of course." Tiana stared, certain she'd misheard. "Sir, you don't know me." "I'm an excellent judge of character, Ms. Navarro." "You could have ignored my dropped bottle. Instead, you helped a stranger without hesitation. That tells me everything I need to know." His comm device chimed. "My transport is waiting. What do you say?" Tiana thought of Mira's face, of her mother's medication. "When do I start?" "Immediately," Thomas replied with the first hint of a smile. "And once you're settled, we'll arrange transport for your family to join you." As they walked toward the private docking bay, Tiana carrying Thomas's luggage alongside her small bag of possessions, she couldn't help but wonder if this sudden turn of fortune was too good to be true. What she couldn't know was how this chance encounter would change not only her life, but the course of interstellar relations forever. Thomas Blackwell's private shuttle cut through New Geneva's atmosphere, revealing a sprawling coastal estate nestled between mountains and sea. Tiana pressed her palm against the viewport, mesmerized by the elegant white structure with its classical columns and expansive gardens. "Welcome to Blackwell Manor," Thomas said, watching her reaction with quiet satisfaction. "It's been in my family for 3 generations." "It's magnificent," Tiana whispered, suddenly conscious of her simple dress and the small bag containing her few possessions. The shuttle landed on a private pad where a human man in a crisp uniform waited. "Welcome home, Mr. Blackwell. I see we have a guest." "Not a guest, Harrison. Ms. Navarro is our new housekeeper." Thomas's tone left no room for discussion. Please show her to the staff quarters in the East Wing. Harrison's expression remained neutral, but Tiana caught the momentary tightening around his eyes. Of course, sir. This way, Miss Invero. As they walked through marble hallways adorned with artwork from across the galaxy, Tiana noticed security features disguised as decorative elements, motion sensors masquerading as light fixtures, and cameras hidden in ornate moldings. Your quarters, Harrison announced, opening a door to reveal a suite 3 times larger than her previous apartment. Mr. Blackwell insists all staff have comfortable accommodations. This is too generous, Tiana managed, taking in the plush furnishings and private bathroom. Mr. Blackwell is a generous employer, Harrison replied stiffly. Dinner's at 8. Mr. Blackwell has requested your presence at the main table tonight. After Harrison departed, Tiana explored her new quarters, running her blue fingers over the silken bedspread. A closet revealed several sets of clothing in her size, including a more elegant version of her maid's uniform and several casual outfits. She was admiring a simple but elegant dress when a soft chime indicated someone at her door. Thomas stood there, having changed from his travel attire into more casual clothing that somehow made him look even more distinguished. He'd exchanged his crutches for a sleek carbon fiber cane. I hope the accommodations are satisfactory, he said, his gray eyes taking in her reaction. They're overwhelming, sir. I've never… Tiana gestured helplessly. Please call me Thomas when we're not in formal company. His smile transformed his face, softening the lines around his eyes. I wanted to ensure you were settling in before dinner. The clothes… a necessity. My business associates visit frequently. I hope you don't mind. Not at all. Thomas. His name felt intimate on her tongue. He nodded approvingly. There's something else, huh? He produced a small device. This will transfer 2 months' advance salary to your family. I've arranged for regular payments to cover your mother's medical expenses. Tiana's eyes widened. I don't know how to thank you. Your service here is thanks enough. His gaze lingered on her face. I look forward to getting to know you better, Tiana. The way he said her name sent an unexpected warmth through her. She'd never considered humans particularly attractive before, but there was something compelling about Thomas. His confidence, his kindness, the intelligence in his eyes. I should let you prepare for dinner, he said, seemingly reluctant to leave. Oh, and Tiana? The West Wing is off limits to all staff. Security protocols. After he left, Tiana showered and changed into the dress she'd been admiring. The fabric complemented her blue skin perfectly, as if chosen specifically for her. At dinner, Thomas proved to be a charming host, asking about her homeworld and sharing stories of his travels. His attention made her feel valued in a way she hadn't experienced before. Later that night, unable to sleep in her new surroundings, Tiana wandered the gardens. The twin moons of New Geneva cast silver light across the manicured landscape. Couldn't sleep either. Thomas's voice startled her. He stood on the terrace, silhouetted against the warm light from inside. Everything is so different here, she admitted, joining him. Change can be difficult, he agreed, but often worthwhile. Their conversation flowed easily under the moonlight. When Thomas reached to brush a strand of hair from her face, his fingers lingered against her cheek. The touch sent a current of awareness through her body. Forgive me, he murmured, misreading her shiver. I didn't mean to overstep. You didn't, Tiana said softly, surprised by her own boldness. Something shifted in his expression. Hunger quickly masked. We should both get some rest. Tomorrow we'll be busy. As Tiana returned to her room, she noticed a door in the corridor she hadn't seen before, unmarked and secured with a biometric lock. The entrance to the forbidden West Wing, she presumed. From behind it came the faint sound of machinery and voices speaking in a language her translator couldn't identify. She hesitated, curiosity warring with caution. Whatever secrets Thomas Blackwell kept, they were none of her business, at least not yet. But as she walked away, she couldn't shake the feeling that those secrets might soon become her concern. In her room, Tiana found herself thinking of Thomas's gentle touch, the intensity in his eyes when he looked at her. It had been years since she'd felt such attraction, and never for a human. The realization both thrilled and unsettled her. What was she getting herself into? 3 days passed at Blackwell Manor, each filled with new discoveries. Tiana learned the rhythms of the estate, from Harrison's precise morning briefings to the gardener's synchronized dance among the exotic flora. Yet the West Wing remained a tantalizing mystery, calling to her curiosity like a beacon. On the fourth night, unable to sleep, Tiana found herself standing before the biometric lock that guarded the forbidden area. The maintenance keycard Thomas had given her wasn't meant for this door, but on her homeworld, similar systems often had override protocols for emergencies. "This is foolish," she whispered to herself, even as her fingers traced the panel's edge. She found what she was looking for, a small maintenance port, nearly invisible. Her species' natural bioelectric field, stronger than a human's, sometimes interfered with electronic systems. It was considered a disadvantage in most technical fields, but now… Tiana pressed her fingertip to the port and concentrated. A slight tingle, then a soft click as the door yielded. Dawn, heart racing, she slipped inside. The corridor beyond was dimly lit with blue emergency lighting. The air carried a medicinal scent, and the temperature was notably warmer than the rest of the manor. She followed the sound of soft mechanical humming to a large chamber filled with advanced medical equipment. In the center, suspended in what appeared to be regeneration tanks, floated three alien beings. Their translucent skin revealed complex circulatory systems, and delicate tendrils extended from their elongated heads. Tiana recognized them immediately. Etherian scientists, among the most brilliant minds in the galaxy. And the most hunted. The consortium had declared their research into genetic healing destabilizing to galactic order 6 months ago. Reports claimed all Etherian research facilities had been destroyed. Yet here were three, alive but clearly injured, healing in secret. They were the only survivors. Tiana whirled to find Thomas standing in the doorway, leaning on his cane. His expression was unreadable. I'm sorry, she stammered. I shouldn't be here. No, you shouldn't. He approached slowly. Yet here you are. Are you going to fire me? Her voice was small. Thomas's laugh was unexpected. For curiosity, that would be hypocritical. He gestured toward the tanks. Professor Lin and his colleagues were developing a cure for Holloway syndrome when the consortium attacked their facility. Tiana's eyes widened. Holloways affected millions across the galaxy, including many of her own people. The consortium claimed their research was dangerous. The consortium claimed many things. Thomas's voice hardened. What they feared was losing control of healthcare across 17 systems. Cures aren't profitable. He moved closer to one of the tanks, his reflection distorted in its curved surface. I've been funding their research secretly for years. When the attack came, I managed to extract these three. The others. His voice trailed off. You risked everything to save them, Tiana realized. If the consortium discovers they're here, they'll destroy my company, seize my assets, and execute everyone involved. Thomas turned to face her, his expression grave. Including you now. The weight of this knowledge settled between them. I won't tell anyone, Tiana promised. Thomas studied her face. I believe you. His hand reached out, fingers brushing her cheek in that same gentle way that had sent electricity through her days before. There's something about you, Tiana. I knew it the moment I saw you. The tension between them shifted, the danger of discovery giving way to a different kind of danger. The risk of crossing boundaries that, once crossed, could never be reestablished. I should go, she whispered, not moving. Should you? His voice was low, intimate. Tiana's people were tactile by nature, expressing emotions through touch that humans conveyed through words. Without thinking, she raised her hand to his, pressing his palm more firmly against her cheek, letting him feel the warmth that rose to her skin. Thomas's breath caught. In my culture, this would be considered forward, he murmured. In mine, it's barely a greeting, she replied with a small smile. This, however, she leaned forward, pressing her lips to his in the human tradition she'd observed but never experienced. The sensation was foreign, yet exhilarating. The slight roughness of his skin against the smoothness of hers, the taste of the Terran brandy he'd been drinking. When they parted, Thomas's eyes had darkened with desire. Are you certain? I'm your employer, and human besides. On my world, we believe souls recognize each other across lifetimes, regardless of form. Her fingers traced the line of his jaw. And I've never been more certain of anything. He led her not back to her quarters or his, but to a hidden room adjacent to the laboratory, a private sanctuary where he sometimes worked out through the night. The simple furnishings included a comfortable bed, where they discovered each other with wonder and tenderness, exploring the differences and similarities between their species. In the aftermath, as they lay entwined, Thomas confessed, "I have been alone a long time. My work, my position, they create barriers." "And now?" Tiana asked, her head resting on his chest, listening to the steady human heartbeat. "Now I have a co-conspirator," he said with a smile that faded quickly. "And that puts you in danger." She propped herself up to look at him. "I choose this danger. For the Etherians, for what's right." She paused. "And for you." As dawn approached, they returned to their separate quarters. But something fundamental had changed. Tiana had crossed more than the threshold of a forbidden wing. She had stepped into a conspiracy that could reshape galactic medicine, and into the arms of a man who defied everything she thought she knew about humans. Neither of them noticed the small surveillance drone that hovered briefly outside the laboratory window before darting away into the night. The morning after their intimate encounter, Tiana found Thomas in his study, surrounded by holographic displays showing security feeds from around the estate. His expression was tense, his earlier warmth replaced by focused concentration. "We have a problem," he said without preamble. "Consortium surveillance drones were detected near the property last night." Tiana's stomach tightened. "Did they see? The West Wing is shielded, but they're growing suspicious." Thomas manipulated the displays, bringing up a series of documents. "I'm expediting the arrangements for your family. They'll arrive tomorrow." "Tomorrow?" Tiana's heart leapt. "So soon?" "It's no longer safe to wait." Thomas's voice softened as he looked at her. "I want them here, protected, before the consortium makes any moves." He reached for her hand, drawing her closer. "Last night changed everything, Tiana. I won't risk losing you or those you love." The tenderness in his eyes made her breath catch. Among her people, such rapid emotional progression would be considered normal, even expected, when souls recognize their match. But she hadn't expected a human to embrace such intensity. "Thomas, my culture views relationships differently than humans do. We dash. Move quickly when we find the right person." He smiled. "Humans aren't so different, especially at my age. When you've lived long enough, you recognize what matters." His comm unit chimed with an incoming message. The holographic display showed a transport authorization for 2 passengers from the Outer Rim. "They're already en route," Thomas confirmed. "Your mother and daughter will be here by morning." Tiana embraced him impulsively, her joy overwhelming. "Thank you." "I can't believe." The study door slid open, revealing Harrison with a data tablet. He paused, taking in their embrace with raised eyebrows. "Pardon the interruption, sir. The security upgrades you requested are complete, but there's an urgent matter requiring your attention." Thomas reluctantly released Tiana. "What is it?" "Director Krell of the Consortium Trade Commission has requested a meeting. Today." Thomas's expression hardened. "Interesting timing." "Indeed, sir. He specifically mentioned reviewing your import licenses for medical equipment." After Harrison departed, Thomas turned to Tiana. "Krell doesn't make personal visits for routine inspections." "They suspect something," Tiana whispered. "Yes, but they don't know what." Thomas's voice was grim. "I need to prepare for this meeting, and you need to be invisible while Krell is here. I'll stay in my quarters." "No," Thomas shook his head. "Too obvious if you're suddenly absent. You'll attend as my personal assistant, hiding in plain sight." Hours later, Tiana stood behind Thomas's chair in the Manor's conference room, dressed in a formal human business suit. The fabric felt strange against her skin, but the disguise was effective. With her hair pulled back and datapad in hand, she looked like any corporate functionary. Director Krell, a tall Vexillian with mottled gray skin and 4 calculating eyes, sat across from Thomas. 2 consortium security officers flanked the door. Your medical imports have tripled in the past quarter, Mr. Blackwell, Krell observed, his upper eyes fixed on Thomas while his lower pair scanned the room. Curious for someone without medical manufacturing facilities. My research division has expanded, Tomas replied smoothly. We're developing new prosthetics for veterans of the border conflicts. Noble work, Krell's tone suggested otherwise. Yet our intelligence suggests you've been in contact with problematic entities. I deal with hundreds of suppliers, Director. You'll need to be more specific. Krell's lower eyes briefly fixed on Tiana. Interesting staff choices, Blackwell. I wasn't aware Invarian refugees had work permits on New Geneva. Tiana stiffened. Her people weren't refugees, but the consortium had been pressuring her homeworld's government for mining rights, creating diplomatic tensions. Ms. Envaro has all proper documentation, Thomas replied coldly. And exceptional qualifications? I'm sure. Krell's mouth twisted in what passed for a vexillion smile. We'll need to inspect your facilities. All of them. You'll need a warrant for anything beyond this room. Thomas's voice was steel. Obstruction suggests guilt, Mr. Blackwell. And harassment suggests desperation, Director Krell. The tension crackled between them until Krell finally stood. We'll return with proper authorization. Soon, his four eyes swept the room once more. Enjoy your, assistant while you can. And after they departed, Thomas immediately activated security protocols, locking down the estate. He knows something, Tiana said, trembling slightly, but not everything. Thomas pulled her into his arms. We need to move the Ethereans tonight, before they return. Where? I have a facility in the mountains. More secure, better equipped. He cupped her face in his hands. There's something else you should know, Tiana. Something I should have told you before. She waited, heart pounding. I wasn't always just a businessman. Before founding Blackwell Industries, I worked for Consortium Intelligence. Tiana pulled back, shocked. You were one of them? Until I discovered what they really were. Not peacekeepers, but enforcers for corporate interests. I defected 15 years ago, taking enough evidence to protect myself from assassination. His eyes held hers. That's how I knew how to extract the Ethereans. That's why Krell is so determined to find something on me. I'm living proof of their corruption. The revelation should have frightened her, but instead Tiana felt a surge of admiration. This human had risked everything to stand against injustice. You're a good man, Thomas Blackwell, she said softly, rising on her toes to kiss him. The kiss deepened, their shared danger heightening every sensation. His hands traced the curve of her spine through the unfamiliar business attire, and she pressed herself against him, craving the closeness they'd discovered the night before. A security alert interrupted them. The perimeter sensors had detected an incoming shuttle. Your family, Thomas breathed against her lips. They're early. Tiana's heart soared with joy even as anxiety twisted in her stomach. Her family was arriving just as danger closed in around them all. What had she brought them into? Tiana raced to the landing pad, her heart pounding in her chest. The small transport shuttle had just touched down, its engines cooling with a soft hiss. Thomas followed close behind, his cane tapping rhythmically against the polished stone path. The shuttle door opened, revealing an elderly Invarian woman with pale lavender skin, her once vibrant blue hair now streaked with silver. She leaned heavily on a walking stick, her movements slow but dignified. Behind her bounced a small blue figure with wide, curious eyes and hair the exact shade of Tiana's. Mira! Tiana cried, dropping to her knees as her 5-year-old daughter launched herself forward. Mama! The little girl's arms wrapped around Tiana's neck, her small body trembling with excitement. You live in a palace now. Tiana laughed through her tears, inhaling the familiar scent of her child. Not quite a palace, little star. Her mother approached more cautiously, her eyes taking in Thomas with a mixture of curiosity and wariness. So this is the human who has been so generous, she said in their native tongue. Thomas surprised them both by responding in heavily accented but understandable Invarian. It is an honor to welcome you to my home, Elder Envaro. The old woman's eyebrows rose. You speak our language? Poorly, but yes. I believed it would be respectful to learn. Thomas bowed slightly in the traditional Envarian greeting between generations. Tiana's mother studied him for a long moment before her face softened. "You may call me Lina," she said, switching to common, "and I thank you for helping my daughter when she needed it most." Inside the manor, as Harrison showed Lina and Mira to their quarters, Thomas pulled Tiana aside. "We need to move quickly. Krell will return with a warrant within hours." His eyes held a new intensity. "There's something I haven't told you." He led her to his private study and activated a medical scanner. The holographic display revealed his internal systems, highlighting a spreading network of dark tendrils throughout his nervous system. "Holloway's syndrome," Tiana whispered, recognizing the distinctive pattern. "Stage 3, Thomas confirmed. "The Ethereans' research is my last hope, and the hope of millions like me. That's why I've risked everything to protect them." Tiana's hand covered her mouth. "How long have you known?" "I was diagnosed 2 years ago. Most humans don't survive past stage 4. His hand found hers. "I didn't tell you because I didn't want your pity." "It's not pity I feel for you, Thomas," she said softly, squeezing his fingers. Before she could say more, alarms blared throughout the estate. Harrison burst into the study. "Sir, consortium forces are approaching. At least 3 shuttles, heavily armed." "They're not waiting for a warrant," Thomas growled. "Initiate protocol exodus." As Harrison rushed to comply, Thomas turned to Tiana. "Get your family. We need to evacuate the Ethereans to the mountain facility now." In the West Wing, they found the Ethereans already being prepared for transport by Thomas's medical staff. To Tiana's surprise, one of the slender aliens was awake, its luminescent eyes blinking rapidly as it communicated with a technician via a translation device. "Professor Lin," Thomas greeted the Etherean. "I'm sorry, but we must move you again." The alien's translator converted its melodic tones. "The others remain in healing stasis, but I sense danger and awakened. Your protection has been invaluable, Thomas Blackwell." Mira, who had followed despite Tiana's instructions to stay with Lina, darted forward with a child's curiosity. "You're pretty. You glow." Before Tiana could pull her back, Professor Lin extended a delicate tendril toward the child. "This young one, her genetic pattern is remarkable." The tendril hovered near Mira's forehead, not quite touching. The Etherean's eyes widened. "She carries the Valkyrie sequence, extremely rare in Invarians. It could be the key to stabilizing our formula." Lina appeared in the doorway, her face pale. "I should have known this day would come." "Mother," Tiana questioned. "I was a research subject in an Etherean medical program decades ago," Lina explained. "They were studying genetic resistance to neural degradation. My family carries a rare mutation." "The missing component," Professor Lin's translator conveyed excitement. "With samples from 3 generations of carriers, we could complete the cure within days." Thomas looked at Tiana, hope blazing in his eyes, but the moment was shattered by Harrison's urgent voice over the comm. "Sir, they've breached the outer perimeter. We have minutes at most." "The underground passage," Thomas decided. "Harrison, bring the vehicles to the southern exit." As they rushed to move the Ethereans, Lina pulled Tiana aside. "Daughter, this human, you care for him deeply, don't you?" "Yes," Tiana admitted. "More than I thought possible in such a short time." "Our people have always known when we found our match," Lina said with a knowing smile, "even when they come in unexpected forms." The estate shook with the first impact of consortium weapons. "They're here," Thomas said grimly, checking the security feed. "Harrison and I will hold them off. Get everyone to the passage." "I'm not leaving you," Tiana insisted. "You must protect your family and the Ethereans," Thomas countered. "I'll be right behind you." Their eyes met in a moment of silent communication before Thomas pulled her close, his lips finding hers in a desperate, passionate kiss. "For luck," he whispered against her mouth. "Humans and their superstitions," she teased, though her eyes shone with unshed tears. "We Invarians prefer certainty. So I'll say this. I will see you at the other end of that passage, Thomas Blackwell." As Tiana led the others towards safety, she glanced back to see Thomas standing tall, his cane discarded as he checked a pulse weapon with the practiced ease of a former intelligence operative. Despite the danger, her heart swelled with admiration for this human who had risked everything for what was right. and who had somehow, against all odds, captured her heart. The sound of weapons fire echoed behind them as they descended into the darkness of the escape tunnel. The future uncertain, but their purpose clear. Thomas and Harrison stood their ground in the grand foyer as consortium forces breached the main entrance. The ornate doors splintered under concentrated weapons fire, sending fragments of handcrafted wood flying across the marble floor. "Like old times, eh, sir?" Harrison remarked, checking the charge on his pulse rifle. Thomas allowed himself a grim smile. "Except we're the good guys now, Harrison." "Always were, in my book." The first wave of consortium troops stormed in, their faceless helmets and standardized armor making them look more machine than sentient. Thomas and Harrison took cover behind overturned furniture, returning fire with practiced precision. "We can't hold them long," Thomas said, wincing as a shot grazed his shoulder. "The tunnel entrance will seal automatically in 7 minutes." Harrison nodded, understanding the implication. They weren't expected to make it out. Suddenly, the consortium troops retreated, regrouping outside the shattered entrance. In the momentary lull, Thomas's comm unit chimed with an incoming transmission on a frequency he hadn't used in 15 years. "Blackwell, you magnificent bastard! Still getting into trouble, I see." Thomas stared at the holographic image of a man with a weathered face and captain's insignia. "Reeves? What the hell?" "No time for reunions. My ships are in orbit, and I've got a ground team approaching your position. Hold tight." The transmission cut as the building shook with the impact of heavier weapons. "Who was that?" Harrison asked, reloading. "Captain Malcolm Reeves. We served together in the Outer Rim conflicts before I joined intelligence." Thomas's expression was a mixture of hope and suspicion. "I haven't seen him since I defected." Before Harrison could respond, the ceiling above them cracked from a direct hit. As they scrambled for new cover, the consortium forces pushed forward again, only to be caught in crossfire from behind. A squad of heavily armed humans in non-standard combat gear had flanked the consortium troops. Their leader, a tall woman with a scarred face, signaled to Thomas. "Commander Blackwell, captain's orders, we're your extraction team." Diana Bowman, Thomas identified her with surprise. "Reeves is second in command." "Former second," she corrected, providing covering fire as she approached. "We all left the consortium after what they did to you. Formed our own security company. Very exclusive clientele." "Mercenaries," Harrison translated. "Independent contractors," Bowman corrected with a wolfish grin. "Now move your asses. The captain's waiting." They fought their way to a concealed landing pad where a sleek combat shuttle waited, engines hot. As they boarded, Thomas glanced back at his home, now partially in flames, and felt a pang for all he was leaving behind. But Tiana and the others were what mattered now. "The tunnel exit coordinates," he told Bowman urgently. "We need to rendezvous with my people." "Already plotted," she assured him. "Captain's got a second team there now." The shuttle lifted off, banking sharply to avoid consortium fire before accelerating into the clouds. In the passenger compartment, a medic treated Thomas's wound while he attempted to contact Tiana. "Jammed," Bowman explained. "Consortium's blocking all standard frequencies. We'll reach your people soon enough." Thomas nodded, fighting the effects of adrenaline crash and the pain medication the medic had administered. "Reeves, how did he know?" "We've been watching you for years," Bowman said simply. "The captain never believed the charges against you. When you started moving medical equipment for the Etherians, he put it together. We've been waiting for the right moment to make contact." The shuttle descended toward a mountainous region, landing in a clearing near a concealed entrance. As Thomas had disembarked, leaning heavily on Harrison, he saw another shuttle already there, and standing beside it, looking simultaneously relieved and furious, was Tiana. "You impossible human!" she cried, rushing forward. "I thought—" Whatever she thought was lost as she threw her arms around him, mindful of his injury but unwilling to let go. Thomas held her just as tightly with his good arm, burying his face in her azure hair. "I told you I'd be right behind you," he murmured. "6 hours is not right behind," she scolded, pulling back to examine his bandaged shoulder. "Time is relative," he teased, his eyes drinking in the sight of her. Their reunion was interrupted by Captain Malcolm Reeves himself, striding from the mountain facility entrance. He was older than in Thomas's memories, his once dark hair now silver, but he carried himself with the same commanding presence. If you're done with the romantic reunion, Blackwell, we've got a situation inside. Thomas straightened, instantly alert. The Ethereans? They're fine. It's your little girl's grandmother. She's been talking to Professor Lin, and apparently they've got history. Not all of it pleasant. Inside the facility, a state-of-the-art laboratory disguised as a mining operation, they found Lina and Professor Lin engaged in what appeared to be a heated debate, with Mira watching wide-eyed from behind a protective screen where medical staff were taking genetic samples. You promised our research would help everyone, Lina was saying, her normally calm demeanor replaced by righteous anger. Not just those who could afford it. The consortium left us no choice, the Etherean's translator conveyed. We needed funding, protection. And now, Lina gestured to Thomas, this human risks everything to save your work, to make it available to all, while your own people abandon you. Professor Lin's luminescent eyes dimmed slightly. Not all of my kind agreed with the consortium's terms. Many died resisting. Thomas stepped forward. What matters now is finishing the cure. With Lina and Mira's genetic material, how soon can you complete it? Days, perhaps hours, Professor Lin replied, but the consortium will never stop hunting us. Let me worry about the consortium, Captain Reeves interjected. My network has been gathering evidence of their corruption for years. We just needed something big enough to turn public opinion. Like suppressing a cure for Holloway syndrome, Thomas suggested. Exactly, Reeves confirmed. We broadcast that, along with proof of their attacks on civilian researchers, and the consortium's political support crumbles overnight. As the others discussed strategy, Tiana pulled Thomas aside to a quiet corner of the facility. You never mentioned you were a commander, she said, a hint of teasing in her voice. Former commander, he corrected. It wasn't a part of my life I was proud of. Yet here you are, surrounded by people who followed you out of loyalty. Her hand found his, fingers intertwining. People see the good in you, Thomas. Just as I did from the beginning. His eyes darkened with emotion and something more primal. Despite the chaos around them, despite his injury and the uncertainty ahead, Thomas felt desires stir within him. The way Tiana looked at him, with admiration, with hunger, made him feel more alive than he had in years. When this is over, he promised, his voice low and intimate, we'll have time for us, for everything. I'll hold you to that, she whispered, her blue lips curving in a smile that promised pleasures yet to be explored. A discreet cough interrupted them. Harrison stood nearby, pointedly not looking directly at them. Professor Lin is ready to begin the final synthesis, sir. He's requesting Ms. Barrow's presence as well. As they rejoined the others, Thomas felt a renewed sense of purpose. With Tiana by his side and allies he never expected, they had a fighting chance. Not just for his survival, but for a future together that hours ago had seemed impossible. Thomas collapsed during the final preparations for synthesizing the cure. One moment he was reviewing data with Professor Lin. The next he was on the floor, his body racked with seizures as the dark tendrils of Holloway syndrome attacked his nervous system. Stage 4 progression, the medical officer announced grimly as they rushed Thomas to the facility's treatment room. It's accelerating faster than normal. Tiana refused to leave his side, her blue fingers intertwined with his pale ones, as the medical team worked to stabilize him. You can't leave me now, she whispered fiercely. Not when we've only just found each other. Professor Lin glided into the room, his luminescent form casting eerie shadows. The genetic samples from your family have provided the key component we needed, the translator conveyed. But synthesis will take 4 hours. He doesn't have 4 hours, the doctor interjected. The syndrome has reached his brainstem. I can keep him stable for maybe 2 hours, 3 at most. Tiana looked up, determination hardening her features. Then we need to work faster. In the laboratory, Tiana joined her mother and daughter, who were already assisting the Ethereans. Mira, despite her young age, seemed to have an intuitive understanding of what the scientists needed, handing them tools before they even asked. She has the gift, Lina explained, noticing Tiana's surprised expression. The same one that made me valuable to the Ethereans years ago. We sense biochemical patterns. As they worked, alarms suddenly blared throughout the facility. Captain Reeves's voice came over the comm system. Consortium forces detected approaching from the north. Estimated arrival, 30 minutes. Harrison appeared at the laboratory door. They must have tracked our shuttle. We need to evacuate. We can't move the equipment, Professor Lin's translator conveyed urgency. And Thomas Blackwell cannot be transported in his condition. Then we stand and fight, Bowman declared, checking her weapons. Reeves joined them, his weathered face grim. We've got 26 personnel against what looks like a full consortium tactical division. Those aren't great odds, huh? We only need to hold them off long enough to complete the cure and administer it to Thomas, Tiana insisted. And then what? Harrison asked. We're still trapped. Tiana's mind raced. The broadcast. If we can transmit evidence of what the consortium is doing, attacking civilians to suppress medical research, we'd need to reach the communications array on the mountain peak, Reeves said. It's the only transmitter powerful enough to break through their jamming. I'll go, Bowman volunteered. Not alone, Harrison added. I know Thomas's encryption protocols. As the defenders prepared for battle, Tiana returned to Thomas's side. His condition had stabilized temporarily, but his breathing was shallow, his skin ashen. They're coming for us, she told him, though she wasn't sure he could hear. But we're not giving up. The cure is almost ready. To her surprise, Thomas's eyes fluttered open. Tiana, he whispered, his voice barely audible. If I don't you dare, she interrupted, pressing her forehead to his in the invariant gesture of deepest connection. We have too much left to experience together. His lips curved in a weak smile. Like what? Like waking up beside each other every morning, she murmured, teaching Mira to swim in that ridiculous fountain in your garden. Arguing about whether your human cooking or my invariant recipes are better. You've thought about this, he observed, his eyes warming despite his pain. Every moment since I met you. She kissed him gently, mindful of his fragile state. We invariants mate for life, you know. Once we choose, that's it. And you choose me, a stubborn old human with questionable career choices? The bravest, most honorable man I've ever known, she corrected. The father I want for my children, for our children. Something shifted in Thomas's expression. Children? As in? Tiana nodded, placing his hand against her abdomen. I wasn't sure until this morning. Our physiologies are compatible but rare. Professor Lin confirmed it during the genetic sampling. Thomas's eyes filled with tears. All the more reason to fight, he whispered. The first sounds of battle reached them. The distinctive whine of consortium energy weapons and the sharper crack of human pulse rifles. Professor Lin entered, carrying a vial of luminescent blue liquid. It is ready but untested, the translator conveyed. The risk is one I'll gladly take, Thomas finished. As the Etherean administered the treatment, Tiana held Thomas's hand, whispering prayers in her native tongue. The liquid glowed as it entered his bloodstream, spreading a network of light that seemed to chase the dark tendrils of the disease. Thomas's body arched in pain, then went completely still. Thomas! Tiana's voice broke. Thomas! For one terrible moment, there was no response. Then Thomas gasped, his eyes flying open, now bright with the same luminescence as the cure. I can feel it, he said in wonder. The pain is receding. Professor Lin's instruments confirmed what they could all see. The syndrome was retreating, the damaged neural pathways regenerating at an astonishing rate. It works, the Etherean's translator conveyed amazement. Faster than we anticipated. The facility shook with a nearby explosion. The consortium forces were breaching the outer defenses. We need more time, Tiana said, looking toward the sounds of battle. Thomas sat up, surprising them all with his rapidly returning strength. Then let's make some. Despite protests from both Tiana and the medical staff, Thomas insisted on joining the defense. The cure had not only halted the syndrome's progress, but seemed to be rejuvenating him, burning away years of accumulated fatigue along with the disease. In the command center, they found Reeves coordinating the defense, his face grim as he watched the consortium forces advancing on multiple displays. Bowman and Harrison reached the transmitter, he reported, but they're pinned down, unable to activate it. We need a diversion, Thomas decided. Something big enough to draw their forces away from the transmitter. Tiana looked at him, understanding dawning. You're thinking of surrendering yourself. Me? And the research data, Thomas confirmed. Not the actual cure or the Etherians, just enough to make them think they've won. It's suicide, Reeves objected. Not if we time it right, Thomas countered, a familiar fire returning to his eyes. And not if I have the right partner? His gaze met Tiana's, and in that moment, she knew. Whatever came next, they would face it together. 6 months later, the grand ballroom of New Geneva's Interstellar Diplomatic Center glittered with representatives from 27 worlds. Crystalline chandeliers cast rainbow patterns across the diverse gathering. Humans mingling with aliens of every description, united in celebration of what the media had dubbed the Blackwell Revolution. At the center of it all stood Thomas Blackwell, restored to vibrant health, his silver hair gleaming under the lights as he conversed with a group of Etherian scientists. Beside him, radiant in a flowing gown of midnight blue that complemented her azure skin, Tiana watched with quiet pride. Her hand rested protectively over her rounded abdomen, where their son grew, a miracle of interspecies genetics that had astonished medical experts across the galaxy. "You're glowing," Captain Reeves remarked, approaching with 2 glasses of non-alcoholic champagne. "Motherhood suits you." Tiana accepted the offered drink with a smile. "It's not just the pregnancy, it's everything we've accomplished." They both gazed across the room to where Professor Lin was demonstrating the latest version of the Holloway's cure to an enraptured audience. The treatment that had saved Thomas's life had been refined and distributed to 17 systems, with Blackwell Industries ensuring it remained affordable for all. "The consortium never knew what hit them," Reeves chuckled. "One minute they're the dominant power in the sector, the next they're facing criminal charges and mass resignations." The plan they'd executed 6 months ago had been audacious. While Thomas and Tiana had created a diversion by seemingly surrendering themselves to consortium forces, Harrison and Bowman had activated the transmitter, broadcasting not only evidence of the consortium's crimes, but also the complete formula for the Holloway's cure to every medical facility in known space. The public outcry had been immediate and overwhelming. Within days, the consortium's political support had crumbled, and its leadership had scattered, fleeing prosecution. "Director Krell was sentenced yesterday," Harrison reported, joining their conversation. 20 standard years on the penal colony at Proxima 4. "Too lenient," Reeves growled. "But just," Thomas countered, returning to Tiana's side and slipping an arm around her waist. "The important thing is that the systems he controlled are free now." Tiana leaned into his embrace, savoring his warmth. Since receiving the cure, Thomas had not only recovered but seemed rejuvenated, as though the treatment had reversed years of aging. The doctors couldn't explain it, but theorized it had something to do with the interaction between the Etherian formula and his unique genetic makeup. Whatever the cause, Tiana was grateful. Their nights together had been passionate and tender, their connection deepening with each passing day. The child she carried, conceived that first night in the hidden room, was physical proof of their unlikely but perfect match. Across the room, Mira darted between dignitaries, her blue hair adorned with ribbons that matched her formal dress. At 7, she had become the unofficial mascot of the new interspecies medical cooperative that Thomas had founded. Her natural ability to sense biochemical patterns had made her invaluable to the researchers, and she had blossomed under their mentorship. Lena watched her granddaughter with indulgent eyes, engaged in conversation with the Avarian ambassador, who had personally apologized for the treatment Tiana had received at her previous position. The former employer who had falsely accused her of theft had been investigated and found guilty of multiple violations. "Sometimes I can't believe how much has changed," Tiana murmured to Thomas. 6 months ago, I was sitting alone at a spaceport with nothing but a broken heart and empty pockets. And now, Thomas prompted, his gray eyes warm with affection. "Now I have everything I never dared dream of." She reached up to trace the line of his jaw. "A family, a purpose, and a partner who sees me for exactly who I am." The orchestra began playing a traditional human waltz, but Thomas bowed slightly, offering his hand. "May I have this dance, Mrs. Blackwell?" Their wedding had been a small, private affair 3 months earlier, a blend of human and Invarian traditions that had left not a dry eye among their friends. Now, as they moved across the dance floor, Tiana was acutely aware of the eyes following them. The human billionaire, and his alien wife, the unlikely couple who had changed the course of galactic history. "They're still watching us," she whispered. "Let them," Thomas replied, spinning her gently in a way that accommodated her pregnancy. "Maybe they'll learn something." "Like what?" "Like how the universe works best when we recognize the value in our differences." His hand pressed against the small of her back, drawing her closer. "Like how love doesn't care about species or status." As the music swelled, he leaned down to kiss her, unconcerned with their audience. Tiana responded with equal fervor, her arms twining around his neck. When they parted, breathless, Thomas whispered, "Have I told you today how much I love you?" "Only 3 times, she teased. "You're falling behind schedule." "I'll make it up to you tonight," he promised, his voice dropping to a register that sent shivers down her spine. Later that evening, as the celebration continued, Thomas and Tiana slipped away to the private gardens. Under the light of New Geneva's moons, they sat on a stone bench, his arm around her shoulders, her head resting against him. "We need to decide on a name," Thomas said, his hand joining hers over their unborn son. "He'll be here in less than a month." "I've been thinking about Nelvar," Tiana suggested. "It means bridge between worlds in my language." "Nelvar Blackwell," Thomas tested the name. "It's perfect." They sat in comfortable silence, watching the stars. From one of those distant points of light, Tiana had come to this world, desperate and alone. From another, Thomas had built his empire, searching for meaning beyond wealth and power. Their paths had crossed because of a dropped water bottle and an act of simple kindness. What had followed, love, danger, revolution, had been anything but simple. "Do you ever regret it?" Tiana asked suddenly. "Taking a chance on a blue-skinned alien at a spaceport?" Thomas turned to her, his expression serious. "Not for a single moment. You saved me, Tiana, and not just from Holloways. You saved me from a life half-lived." As if in response to his father's voice, Nelvar kicked, a strong movement that made them both laugh. "He's going to be as stubborn as you," Tiana observed. "With your compassion," Thomas added, "and hopefully your looks." "Yeah, I don't know," she mused, running her fingers through his silver hair. "Human males have their appeal." Their playful banter was interrupted by Harrison, who approached with an apologetic expression. "Forgive me, sir, but the Etherian delegation is requesting your presence for the final toast." Thomas sighed, then helped Tiana to her feet. "Duty calls." As they walked back toward the lights and music of the celebration, Tiana reflected on the journey that had brought them here, from rejected maid to the partner of the most influential human in the sector, from desperate single mother to the co-founder of an organization bringing medical breakthroughs to billions, all because Thomas Blackwell had seen her, truly seen her, when no one else would. And what he had done next had indeed left everyone speechless.